Hello friends! It's Philadelphia part 2, couldn't fit it all into one vlog. This time going to the Museum of the American Revolution. In the last vlog I talked about how I wanted to visit it, so I'm going and you're coming along with me. In the meantime, while I wait for my museum ticket to come up, we're gonna walk around Philly. Stay away from that old Viper man. I honestly never knew what a pretty city Philadelphia was, but I mean, like every city has its like really nice areas and like areas that are not so nice. But this is a really pretty city and so much freaking history. Oh, so much freaking history, which is cool for somebody that really enjoys history like myself. Don't you take that fruit he's holding in his hand. Just one bite and you'll be swinging with the band. If you hang around that old Viper man. Here's the Philadelphia Museum and the famous Rocky sculpture. All these kids just ran up the steps to do the Rocky thing. Now they're posing. Wholesome, love it. Do you think I should run up the steps? A lot of people are doing it. It's a lot of steps. Look how little he is up there. Okay, here I go. Oh, they're shorter than I thought they would be. Yeah. Dun-dun-dun. Already almost there. Okay, actually easier than I thought it would be. And I'm wearing a backpack. Maybe it's all the rucking I do. There he is. So the view from the top of the steps is of all of Philadelphia, which is a pretty awesome view. I did it! Rocky Balboa was a real person. If you should come across a viper in the night, that's when you get the hit that makes you feel alright. I'm excited for this. Visiting the Museum of the American Revolution. Can't wait to see all the things. You'll be high and trouble's out of sight, so don't you hang around that viper in the night. You'll be high. You take one hit and you'll be swinging with the band. This is the first political cartoon in American history. Benjamin Franklin came up with this. Did you know that? I did not. This museum is really well done. You don't have to listen, but you can listen through audiobooks. A lot of information. This is kind of cool. So this is a piece of wood that is one of the last salvage pieces of wood from a Liberty tree. Liberty trees were what American colonists used to gather around. They were gathering places in the 1760s and 70s. This is the last remaining piece of the last Liberty tree. When you hang around that old Viper man. How's this for authentic? I got a nosebleed while I was touring and I will not stop bleeding, so. This is from the Shot Heard Around the World. This is the Battle of Concord that essentially started it. And this was the musket carried by the leader of the Minutemen, which were the British soldiers fighting the Continental Army, which was the American soldiers. And this is a piece of a bridge in the 1700s. Cool, huh? So the British thought they were going to fight a bunch of Continental Army, but the town was empty when they got there. And so they kept going, basically overextended themselves, and kind of got slaughtered. This is a draft of the original Declaration of Independence. I think something that a lot of people don't know. My nose is still bleeding, but Something that a lot of people don't know is America was founded on this. I mean, obviously we know it was founded on this concept of equality, but that also included women and slaves and the working class. And that was something that they originally wanted to include in the Declaration, but it proved to be too controversial. Huh, sound familiar? This is supposed to be John Adams saying, "Down with the king." This is the very first American money. Another thing designed by Benjamin Franklin, represents all the colonies. Everyone thought that New York was going to be the stronghold, so the British immediately attacked New York and took New York and thought that the war was going to be over really soon because they had the big stronghold. But haha, little did they know. This is cool. These are some of the original revolutionary flags. Look how long these muskets are. They're like, oh, so long. I bet they're like 6 feet long. Can you imagine having to pack that? Goodness. If you hang around that old Viper man. So basically, the Americans got essentially slaughtered in New York and were just running to try to get away from the British. They really thought it was all over in like December of 1776 because they were all running, looked like the British were going to overtake them immediately. We know how that worked out too. So it was at this time that Thomas Paine wrote Common Sense. It was a popular pamphlet, and that's what got a bunch of Americans to join the cause in the Revolution. And at this same kind of time, then George Washington made his famous crossing of the Delaware River. And let temptation lead you by your lily hand. You will be moving your body to the dance. Did you know that Germans fought in the Revolutionary War too? King George hired a bunch of Hessians, Germans, about 20,000 of them, to come fight in the Revolutionary War, and they were some of the ones that were defeated by George Washington and his small army when they crossed the Delaware at the Battle of Trenton. Something that is also forgotten is that lots of Native Americans fought for the Continental Army and the colonists in the Revolutionary War. They thought it was to their benefit to help the Americans. That's something I feel like they don't really teach us much of in school, is talking about how much the Native Americans helped us, not only when we first came to America, but also in making America. And then how do we reward them? Not well. When you cut it with that old Viper man. This section is talking about the Battle of Saratoga, in which the notorious traitor Benedict Arnold had a bunch of troops, and they were defeated, and that became one of the big turning points in the war for the Americans. After the Americans were able to win the Battle of Saratoga, then that inspired the French to join in and help out on the American side, which the French joining was one of the big reasons as why we also won the war against the British. Not the only, but another one of the big reasons. Look at all these muskets. They are so freaking huge. We have these interactive exhibits. Let's see what this giant one is. Martin Cornwallis's Whitbeck fowling piece. "67 inches. So yeah, that's 5 feet 7 inches long. This musket is as tall as I am. Exactly. It's pretty cool. All of these original muskets. This is pretty cool. They have one of the first British muskets that were surrendered at the Battle of Yorktown. You take one hit and you'll be swinging with the band. When you section I think is really important, and I like that they have this section here because it talks about how difficult everything was after the war. I mean, America was in debt. They didn't really have a way to survive. They didn't have a way to pay any of the people that fought in the war like they said that they would. It was a really rough time right after the revolution. It's not like you can have a revolution and then things are, instantly fixed. It takes years and years, and it doesn't always go like you think it's going to. This is also the really sad thing, is that tons of African Americans and slaves fought for America to be free, and then both slaves and women were not given any of the freedom. So both slaves and women were not given any of the freedoms that they were promised that they would have after the war was over. Because once the war was over, and a lot of the influential people within that made our country, they now had the opportunity to be aristocrats. Even though we are still a very free country and one of the most free countries, they ended up straying away from a lot of the ideals that they had originally envisioned, all in the name of greed. Classic, am I right? This is all supposed to remind us that we're not done. We still have a ways to go in fighting for the ideals that our founding fathers originally wanted, which is equality for everyone.
Don't you take that fruit he's holding in his hand. Just one bite and you'll be swinging with the band. If you hang around that old Viper man, you'll be high. You take one hit and you'll be swinging with the band. When you hang around that old Viper man, heard it told about that old Viper man. Maybe I'll hang around that old Viper man.